Hey, folks, welcome back. Just when you think that the South African government and its foolish politicians would dial it back and stop the intentional insults of Donald Trump and the United States over President Trump's decision to stop foreign aid, money we don't have, to South Africa because of its egregious actions working contrary to the interests of the United States and its national security, and offer refugee status for some South Africans. Well, instead of just keeping their nose out of our business, they want to stick their nose in, starting, of course, with the State of the Nation address, where Sir Ramaphosa famously said, "We will not be bullied." And the list goes on and on, from politicians, multiple parties, members of the cabinet. It just never ends. And just when you think it's going to be dialed back, as Ramaphosa spoke the opening remarks at the G20 summit in South Africa, he said that, well, the United States is still here. It's just that the Secretary of the Treasury and State are not here, but this relationship is one that's strong. He says good things to try to calm the waters. And then from a very unexpected quarter, what do we get? More nonsense and insults directed against America, just gratuitous bullshit. And this one comes from the Minister of Police, Senzo Mchunu, who throws jabs at Trump as crime stats reveal just one farmer killed in 3 months. Now, he reported in his crime stat report that 12 farm murders were recorded out of a total of 6,953 murders reported in the period, with only one being a farmer. This is the last 3 months of 2024. 5 were farm dwellers, 4 were farm employees, and 1 was a security guard, and 1 was not specified. He claims that murders across South Africa dropped by 9.8% and rape by 3.3%, while attempted sexual offenses dropped by 3.2%. Now, those are great numbers to hear. What's scary, though, is that 7,000 people were murdered in 3 months. That's crazy. He did say farmers being murdered. I suppose he's referring to this one. We don't know where the other farmers he may be referring to are. Where is that based? Well, first off, Senzo Mchunu, Donald Trump didn't say anything about farmers being murdered. You're stuck in 2018. Donald Trump talked about completely different things, about land confiscation. That's what he claimed. He's talking about expropriation without compensation. And he talked about the actions of South Africa contrary to U.S. national security interests. Farm murders are not part of this conversation. And your callous disregard for the life of a person. And it's not about farmers. I've never claimed that. I've always claimed it's a rural insecurity issue. The disbandment of the commandos many, many years ago, when I was still working in the intelligence community, was a clarion sign that this was going to be a disaster. And it has been a disaster. This arrogant, condescending attitude, I didn't expect to see this from Senzo Mchunu, who is, to date, seemed to have been a relatively effective policeman as compared to his predecessor, the Cat in the Hat, Beckett Seeley. So, farmers, I suppose he's referring to this one. Wow. 12 people murdered on farms, and that's your response. He said, we don't know if Trump is ahead of us or is saying a farm dweller is also a farmer. He's also concerned about that. Maybe he's also including the employees who are working the farm and the security guard. Maybe he's concerned about that. Well, yes, smartass. Of course he's concerned about that. Apparently you don't give a shit about the sanctity of life by being so dismissive and callous about the lives of people. He says, but so far, these are stats, and we are yet to see any authoritative figures and information from the U.S. and the president thereof. Well, you don't need to see anything from the U.S. Multiple organizations provided the names of the thousands of people murdered on rural farms in South Africa over the past 30 years. You just need to quit being an asshat, Senzo Mchunu, and start being serious about your job. There's no need for this. All you had to do is report the information, tell people there was decline. This was a good news story. But Senzo Mchunu turns it into an asshattery moment with this senseless, stupid attack on Donald Trump. You know, you guys really don't want to go, do you? And you really do want travel sanctions and embargo on trade with South Africa, because that's what you're pushing for. Keep opening your yap up and keep it up. Wow, a good news story on a decline in crime, which we treat as suspicious anyway, based on how the South African government has been opaque about crime stats in the past. But we'll accept that there is a decline, and that's great news. But instead of a good news story, Senzo Mchunu turns it into this nonsense of attacking Donald Trump. Oh, footsack. Cheers, South Africa.